Today, I will tell you what I did to learn and master tailoring fast. Many people spend so many years, they still have not learned or mastered the skill of tailoring. People have this belief that the more time you spend in tailoring, the better you get. But that's not entirely true. Some people have spent close to 5 years in tailoring and they are still struggling with basics. Learning for me was very slow when I started until I took some of these steps. Now, I've spent close to a decade in tailoring, and this is what I've learned. Now, the first way in which you can learn tailoring faster is to learn on your own. Now, I know that can be confusing because maybe you're enrolled in a fashion school or as an apprentice and you're trying to learn the skill. Some of you might say, then why will you tell me to learn on my own? Tailoring is a very broad skill. There are lots of styles, there are lots of garments, there are lots of techniques that you learn. So if you're depending on just what you're being taught, I'm telling you, you spend close to 2 years, 3 years, and you've not taken any huge step. When I was in the fashion school, I will actually go to the fashion school and I will be taught some certain aspects of tailoring. I'll now get back home, I'll go online and I will learn and practice on my own. So sometimes when I get back to the fashion school, I will meet my tutor. I'll say, okay, this is what I learned, this is what I saw, is it correct? And the tutor will be very surprised and, this is actually correct. How did you come about this? I'll say I actually went on my own personal research and I practiced. So you need to go beyond what you're being taught and practice on your own. In my early days in tailoring, a man approached me, wanted me to make a garment for him, a senator wear. Now, while I was in the fashion school, they taught me how to cut the neckline of a senator wear. I used that same method for that customer, and after finishing the clothes, the neck of the cloth became too tight for the man. In fact, I had issues then. Now, that was the method I was being taught at the fashion school. Now, I had to go on my own personal research. I discovered the method and I started using it and it started working well for me. So sometimes the most important parts that you learn in tailoring are those things you learn on your own. There are lots of courses online. I currently have a beginner's course. I have a shirt course. So there are some certain things you pick up from some of these courses, especially if you're a beginner tailor. There are lots of things you will not be taught at wherever you're learning the skill. And when you enroll in courses, you go on YouTube, you watch tutorial videos on different kinds of garments, different kinds of sewing techniques. It can actually go a long way in making you learn the skill faster. Now, the second reason why most people don't learn tailoring fast is lack of foundational knowledge. Now, some people have spent like 2-3 years in tailoring and they are still struggling with some parts of sewing because there is no foundational knowledge on certain things. How to know a quality fabric, how to differentiate between natural and artificial fabric, the proper size of needle to use on certain types of fabric, how to properly place your fabric to cut it. We're talking about the grain lines. These are foundational knowledge that if you don't know, it can actually affect you 3 years or even 5 years into your learning process when it comes to tailoring. Now, that's why you find out that some tailors will actually be making some certain mistakes and they will get annoyed and frustrated. And if you look into that issue, you find out that the cause of that problem is just a little thing that they need to set or to change or to switch for them to get it right. But because of that lack of foundational knowledge, you find out they get frustrated, they get discouraged. And that's why I created a beginner's course that will give an in-depth foundational knowledge on the basics in tailoring that will set you up and actually hasten your learning process when it comes to tailoring. Have you been struggling to learn tailoring for a couple of months or even for a couple of years and it seems as if you're not making any progress? Or are you just starting your journey into tailoring and you want to get foundational knowledge that will start you off and hasten your process when it comes to learning tailoring? Now, it can get frustrating investing your time and your effort trying to learn tailoring and it seems as if you're not making any progress. I have a beginner's course. It will hasten your learning process and make you learn the skill of tailoring so much faster. Now, this is a paid course. If you're really serious about upgrading your skill and learning tailoring very fast, you have to enroll in this course. So click the link in the description to register for this course. Now, the third reason why most people don't learn tailoring fast is focus. Or should I put it this way? Lack of focus. When I was still at the fashion school, I had a lot of offers, job offers. They came in. Those offers were actually very enticing because I was struggling financially and I had a lot of offers that I knew would distract me from the learning process. But I had to reject some of those offers because I knew it would actually distract me, thereby slowing my learning process when it comes to tailoring. Now, the thing about focus is sometimes what you're offered can be a very good idea. It might not necessarily be a bad thing, but because you've decided that, okay, this is what I want to focus on at this particular time, you have to make that sacrifice and reject some of those things just to maintain your focus. When I was still at the fashion school, I'd actually advanced a little by then, but I still wanted to learn more. I got a job offer in a fashion house to come and manage that place, and with a very lucrative pay. But I knew I still had to spend some time at the fashion house for me to be able to master the skill. So I had to reject that offer just to maintain my focus. When I told some of my friends, they were like, are you stupid? You rejected that just to stay at this particular place? I said yes, because I wanted to maintain the focus. So sometimes the offers that you'll be offered might be good offers, but because you've decided that this is what I want to focus on, and you know the value of that sacrifice, that if you focus on this thing, you're going to yield results, it's good you maintain focus. Now, I know some people are trying to learn the skill and they have maybe their 9-to-5 jobs. They have certain things that they do just to survive and to earn a living. I'm not saying you should abandon that totally. What I'm saying is you should dedicate quality time in learning the skill. So even if you have other things that you're doing that is also taking part of your time, a quality part of that time should be dedicated in learning the skill for you to be able to master it. Now, the fourth reason why people don't learn tailoring fast is inconsistent practice. Now, learning tailoring is like trying to build muscles. Let's say you decide to do 50 to 100 push-ups 3 times a week. Now, when you start doing this exercise, your muscles will start growing and you start getting bigger. Let's say you've been doing 70 push-ups easily. Anytime you reduce your frequency or you become inconsistent, when you want to get back into it again, you find out that it's a struggle. That's the same thing with tailoring. You have to practice, and you have to practice consistently. If you really want to be honest to yourself, you know you have not been consistent. Let's say you practice on Mondays. Before you practice again is till next week. Before you practice maybe after 10 days or 5 days, you will not actually grow that way. Now, the thing about tailoring is sometimes some of these techniques and methods, you can easily forget it. Let's say they show you how to sew a pocket, turn this way, sew here, leave 5 inches, sew here. You find out that if you don't practice constantly, you can easily forget that method or that technique. When I was still in the teaching profession, I stopped sewing for a while, let's say 6 months or so. And when I wanted to start again, I noticed that some of the method I thought I had mastered, when I was about sewing, I discovered I had forgotten some of those things. So I had to actually just practice to make sure those memories come back. So sometimes, even when you think you've mastered it, if you leave it for a while, it can actually leave you. So you need to consistently and constantly practice for you to master the skill.